Josh, how you doing? You good?
I'm doing good, brother. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm Muslim, by the way.
Yep, I figured.
If it wasn't clear in the name. You believe Islam is false, right?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. The God that you worship, is he unbegotten or begotten?
It depends on what you mean by that. Are you talking about the Father, the Son, or the Holy Spirit?
I'm asking you, the God, the singular God that you say is one, that you worship, is he begotten or unbegotten?
Yeah. So that predication of begottenness is only for personhood, only for hypostasis. So the Father is the one that's unbegotten.
And so who do you worship?
The Father? He doesn't worship anybody.
I'll ask you now, do you worship God? What would you reply?
Yes, I do. I worship God.
You worship God. Okay, that God that you worship, is he begotten or unbegotten?
Yeah. Well, the God that I worship exists as three persons. So when we're talking about begottenness and unbegottenness, that's distinct. That's predicated to the persons.
I'm not asking you about predication. I'm asking you about the God that you worship. If I ask you about the God that you worship, you say, yes, I worship God.
Yes.
That God, that being, is either begotten or unbegotten. Or you could just say he's begotten and unbegotten.
The nature itself wouldn't be predicated to being begotten or unbegotten, because that's only something for the person. Because God's nature is, you don't predicate that to God's nature at all. He's just, his nature has always existed. It's eternal. But my God, my one God that I worship exists as three persons. So the Father is the one. Excuse me?
Wouldn't that be two gods then?
No, because God will be in reference to the being. There's only one being, but the person, when we're saying who is the one that's unbegotten, that's in reference to a person. So the Father being unbegotten. One second, I'll finish. Let me just finish this and you can respond. The Father who is unbegotten, that's what makes him distinct from the Son. So the Father is the one that's unbegotten.
If he's distinct from him, then that means there's two there, no? If something's distinct from something, then you count two. Like, for example, I'll give you an example.
Yeah, two persons.
For you, for example, if I was to have two people in front of me, would I say there's one human being in front of me or two human beings in front of me?
Two human beings.
Two human beings. If I have two bottles now, right, both exactly the same, would I say there's one bottle in front of me or two bottles?
Two.
Two bottles, right? So why is it now in the case of God we count him different? Does he not? Can we not count God the same?
No.
Okay, if I now say, if I say Zeus and Hermes, are they one God?
No.
Why not?
Because they
both share the same nature, right?
Yeah, not identical natures, no.
Why not?
Because we're two different. We do share the same essence as far as like what a human is, the universal, but we don't share the identical nature. So, for example, those are, I believe those are demons. So I don't know why you're bringing that up.
Forget about demons or not.
No, I can't, bro. Regardless, we'll call them gods, but they're created.
Yes, they create. Okay, let's say it's just an idea. Were they two gods or one god?
Two gods.
They're two gods. But do they not share the same nature? Are they not both gods?
I don't know. I don't know what their natures would be, but they're created. So that's what make it. That would be the difference between them and the creator.
They're both distinct from each other, right?
They're not only distinct; they're not the same nature. So let me, look, bro. I'm answering your questions. I'm answering your questions, but you let me respond for a second so that we don't keep going around in circles. So the difference is that you and I, for example, are human beings. That we do have the same. We are the same category in that sense. We share the same universal, the essence of a human, but we are not identical natures. Meaning that we're two different instantiations of that universal. We're a particular of a universal. So what I mean by that is this, just to dumb it down even further. I'm not saying you are, but it's for the audience. Is that we are two different instantiations in the sense that we're both born in a different time. We are in a different location, so different space, and we're made of different matter. What about them?
Twins. Twins are born at the same time.
Not all the time, and they're in two different locations, two different matters. And twins, and what twin comes out both at the same time as the other twin? It's usually one or the other comes out first.
The father wasn't on the cross. Was Jesus on the cross, right?
Yeah, that's because the Son is the one that manifested in creation. So the difference is this. The difference is, I'm gonna land it real quick with this because I wasn't done and you jumped in. The difference is this: we are created. We're within time, space, and matter. God isn't. So his nature is not separated, divided, or within time. Therefore, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, although they are distinct, they're not separate, and they share the same identical one divine nature, which makes them one God.
Okay. That still doesn't, because the example you used there was human beings, saying that there's two different instances. Let me give you that as well. And then the second statement, you said they're in different places. But we can clearly see through biblical, and you yourself would agree, that Jesus was the one on earth and the Father was in heaven, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're in two different places. So by your logic and by your definition, those are either two different gods, or you have to rule one of them out as a god.
Negative, because God is not in a place. Place would require time, space, and matter. So to say that God, the Father and the Son, or the Father was in a different place, that would be a category area in itself. You can't even make that statement. So the Son, although manifested within creation, is never separate of the Father. He even says that himself in John chapter 5, verse 19.
Okay, but there's still, I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, this still doesn't answer my question. So if I now say to you, or you as a Christian, I ask you who you're worshipping, you say God. That God that you're worshipping is either an unbegotten one or a begotten one. They can't be both begotten and begotten. So are you either worshipping Jesus or the Father?
Yeah, like I said before, being unbegotten is a predication to the person. That's what makes the Father distinct from the Son. So if you want to say, oh, well, your God is either unbegotten or begotten, and if he's one and not the other, that mean, and let's say the Father is unbegotten, the Son's begotten, that makes him two. I would agree with you, but that makes them two persons, not two gods. That's not a predication to the nature, the being. The being in itself is one, and the reason why we know it's one is because they all act within the same act. They share the same mind, share the same will. Therefore, they're one being. And actions are they come from nature. They come from being.
So then the singular being, because you obviously believe God is a singular being, that singular being that you're worshipping is, by your definition, unbegotten and begotten.
If we're talking about the Father and the Son, yes.
So he's both unbegotten and begotten.
If we're talking about the Father and the Son, like the persons, yes.
No, I just asked you about God.
Yeah. I mean, the persons can be predicated to as God as well. So what are you talking? God is not it's not a rigid designator. It's not like a univocal term. It could be referenced to different things. So what are you talking about? Are you talking about the being? Are you talking about the being, or are you talking about the person?
Because there's certain things that are distinct for, let's say, Jesus, and there's certain things that are distinct in the Father that is not present in Jesus.
Like what?
I'll give you an easy example. Jesus now, for example, knowing the hour. Would you say Jesus at that moment when he was speaking to the Christians at that time, did he know the hour?
Yes.
He knew the hour.
Mm-hmm.
So but he says he doesn't know.
Yeah, he's just talking about not revealing. You can see it in the Greek.
So he lied to them?
No. He didn't speak English when that was written. He was speaking, well, he was more than likely speaking Aramaic to them, but it was written in Greek. So in Greek, you can see the Greek word. It's to reveal. It's not cognitive knowledge.
No, but it quite clearly says that he does not know the hour. It says the Son does not know the hour.
What did I just say, bro?
It's no problem. You can bring up the reference if you want.
Yeah. So the word. Clear. So maybe let me make it a little more clear. The word "know" that you're hyper fixated on is translated from a Greek word "oiden," which also means to reveal.
I'm searching this up now, and this doesn't. No, this doesn't apply.
Okay, why?
You can search this up yourself as well. It doesn't apply. No, that doesn't show anywhere here. I haven't seen. There's not.
What are you looking at? Here. What are you looking at?
Google. I'm just literally Googled it.
Okay, bro. You're going on Google. How about you look at the Greek word? How about you look at the Greek word, bro?
How about you bring it up for me? What's the Greek word?
The Greek word is oiden. You could look it up on the interlinear for Mark 13:32.
But do you still believe that Jesus has different distinct attributes from the Father? He does, right?
As far as what? Like, because we believe he took on a second nature. So if we're talking about the divine nature,
the Father's not flesh, right?
Yeah, no. So if he took on a second nature, but if we're talking about like his divine nature, no, that's not. We don't believe that.
So who are we talking about? When we say Jesus as a being, right? We're not talking as a being, the Jesus being himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was suckled by his mother, that was tempted by the devil, that said the Father's greater than him. That Jesus, is that Jesus both divine and human?
Yes.
Okay, so that Jesus there, that present those things that the Father doesn't show, because you don't see the Father suckling on nobody, right? You don't see the Father.
And real quick, Alo, just to let you know,
yeah,
you've been respectful to this point, so I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. But most of the time, when people start bringing on suckling,
you see that as disrespectful. If you do, then I'll refrain from mentioning.
Okay, yeah, it's just maybe you're not, because it is true. He was suckling on his mother, and it is what it is. I'm not going to be super sensitive, but most of the time when people bring that up, they're trying to be they're trying to bring a shock value by being disrespectful.
No,
so
it's not a shock value really. For me, for any really like human being, as you can see, just come into my boots and
no worries, bro. I'll give you the benefit of the doubt because you've been respectful to this point. So go ahead, you can continue.
If you don't mind. The thing is, when as a normal person just reading in general, any person with normal sound of mind, and you can see where this would come from, just non-biased perspective, seeing that and reading that, and seeing that Jesus, again, no offense, was suckling on his mother and was clearly dependent in many places in the Bible, and being tempted by the devil, which is also God's creation, and being killed by his own creation. How can a person now naturally read that and then also align that with that being God?
Yeah, because they would
see where the issue can come.
Yeah, if you read that from the New Testament and don't go to the references as to where the prophecies of the Messiah came from, then and why the Messiah was needed to come, which comes from the old Hebrew Bible, then yeah, I can understand how someone may think that. Not everybody. I mean, it's subjective, but I can see how somebody can have trouble with it. But you would need to get the context of what the Jews believed in as far as the Messiah and what they believed in the first century and how they interpreted the Old Testament, because the Old Testament made it very clear as to that there's a need of a savior because of our corrupted nature, and that there would be somebody that would be a Messiah and a king that would inherit the nations. And it was, and last but not least, it was very clear that this person that would be incarnate would be a human being, would be God incarnated. It was very clear.
Well, I'm not really. Old Testament's quite a long read, I'll be honest. But I haven't really read up on it fully.
Yeah, I get it. It is a long read. It's a lifelong journey. You're right. It is a long read, but the prophecies were very clear that it would be God incarnated, that He would come and save.
I'll have to look into that, because going through those references will be quite long here, and I haven't got a lot of time. I've got to go over to work. But and respectfully to you, I don't know if anyone else on this call would be happy with that answer. I'm still not convinced with that, because I believe if I'm sitting with someone, they say to me, "Oh, I worship Jesus, right? Or I worship the Father, right?" To me, one being begotten and one being unbegotten, those are two distinct beings. That person cannot say to me now, "I'm me worshiping God," right? They have to clarify: is that God either unbegotten or begotten? Because those are two different things. One single being or person, whatever you want to use, being begotten and unbegotten at the same time is a contradiction.
That's the problem, though. I don't think what you're doing is you're conflating being and person, and those are two different categories. You understand that, right? Like person.
Use another example other than God, right? Where you can use the word being and person.
Yeah. So, for example, a rock is a being. Being just means an existence, right? Rocks exist, therefore it's a being. Rock has a nature, right? It has a hard has a hard, it's a hard material, right? So therefore, it has a nature. Would you agree?
The nature of a rock is for it to be hard. Sometimes, in some cases, pumice rock might be a little bit.
Whatever the nature is, right? A rock,
just hard rock. Let's say hard rock.
It has a nature. It has a nature,
okay.
Right? Does it have a person? Is it a person?
No, it's not a person.
There you go. So, but but the rock is still just one rock, right? One being.
Rock is a thing, yeah.
Right. So what makes it one being is the nature, right? What it is. But personhood is a different category, clearly, because
that's a category though. That's not nature. Because if I say, for example, a square and a circle, those are shapes, right? But at the end of the day, a square is not a circle. Their categories don't make them the same. So if I now say, look at a square, I can't say the square and the circle share the same nature.
Yeah.
No, they don't. A square is a square.
But real quick, we're a little bit off. I don't think you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that if a nature is identical to a person, if we're talking about what you're doing is you're asking a question about being unbegotten, that's a question directed towards personhood, but you're actually trying. Hold on a second. Hold on. Let me finish. Let me finish, brother.
Okay.
Because I think I know you're not trying to, but I want you to hear what I'm saying. So that question would only be applied to the category of the person, not the being, right? The nature. Because natures and persons are two different categories. So that question is applied to the person, but you're trying to say it can't be unbegotten and begotten at the same time because that would mean two. I would agree, that's two persons. But persons, just because there's two persons or three persons, if you want to count the Holy Spirit now, that doesn't mean that there's three gods, because the nature is what we're looking at as far as like we're counting gods or beings.
What's the aligning nature?
What was that?
What's the aligning nature?
I don't know what do you mean the aligning
so
nature?
The nature, you said their nature, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of their natures. So by that nature, or whatever category that is, right, that they all fit into to be one God, what is that?
Yeah, it's divine. It's God. It's what makes God Divinity. God. Of course, yeah.
So things can have the same nature but be distinct from each other.
Things can have the same nature and have distinctions, yes.
The clear distinctions, like complete. If they were the same, they would be contradictory.
Yeah, for example, like if you take a flame, right?
Okay.
There's only one flame. There's not two, there's not three, only one flame. But that one flame generates light and generates heat. Would you say the light and the heat are distinct?
Light and heat. Light can generate heat as well.
Brother, light and heat are not the same thing.
It's scientifically light.
All right, let's do this. Let's do this. The plasma of the flame, is that distinct from the light?
Okay, yes.
Okay. So they're distinct, but they're not separate, are they?
Yes, but they're coming from the fire source, right? They're dependent to
they're all the flame. They're all the flame, but there's distinctions within the flame. It's the same thing for your God too, bro. You have distinctions as far as attributes, but you don't count different gods, right?
Yeah, but this is.
You when you swipe away from TikTok, it mutes your mic, bro. So I don't know if
I got a call.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, if the fire, for example, the reason why that example doesn't work here, the fire here, both the light and the plasma are reliant on the fire.
What do you mean? They're all of them together they're the same being.
Yeah, they wouldn't be there without the fire.
What's the fire? What makes the fire?
What is the fire? Yeah, in this case, when we're talking
can
about...
Can you have fire without the plasma? Hold on, can you have...
Who's the fire?
One second. Can you have the fire without the plasma?
The plasma is there without the fire. It's not there without the fire. It's not there without the fire. The plasma is not there without the fire.
Is there fire without the plasma?
No, but first you got.
Thank you.
It comes in steps.
Bro, what I'm saying is this, brother. Look, what I'm saying is this. And by the way, there's never a perfect one-to-one analogy to God. I'm just giving you an example that there could be distinctions, but still be one thing, right? It's that they're intrinsic to each other. They're not separate. So if I remove heat from a flame, it's no longer a flame. The flame goes out. If removed plasma, if it's possible, I'm speaking obviously like. To prove a point, hyperbolically, to prove a point. If I can pull plasma out of a flame, there's no more flame anymore. It's gone. Because it's intrinsic to the flame. That's what makes it a flame.
It's very, very confusing. Because then
by the way, confusing and it not making sense to you doesn't prove it to be false. Just let you know.
It doesn't prove it to be false. I haven't said at all here.
No, I get it, bro. I'm giving you the benefit of that. I'm just responding because most of the time people do bring an argument and say, well, it doesn't make sense to me, therefore it's not true. That's not. I can't.
That doesn't stand.
Like, just because, like, for example, if I read the Quran, right, and I'm confused by it, doesn't make it false. Like, and it is confusing the first time I read it. I'm like, okay, I don't understand a lot of things. There's still a lot of things I don't understand about Islam. Just because Islam, there's a lot of things that I don't understand about Islam still, but just because I don't understand it doesn't make it false, right?
100%.
Yeah.
But you claim it's false, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Well, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on, because I still don't feel like if a Christian comes to me and says to me, I'm worshiping God, and I ask him, that God that you worship, is he begotten or unbegotten?
You're conflating the nature and the person. You're conflating the nature and the person. So I think you need to understand what category you're actually referring to. And the thing is, you're asking about the person. Well, sorry, you're asking about the being, but the question can only be applied to the persons, and that's your error. You think you're asking about the being, but that question would not be applied to the being at all.
No, if I was to ask you about a table, for example, and say, is this table made from wood or plastic?
Mm-hmm.
This table that you eat on, right? If I'm eating on a table, and you ask me, is this table made from wood and plastic? I'll tell you the table's made from wood, or I'll tell you the table's made from plastic.
Sure.
But then you're saying to me, no. You have to look at the nature and the person as separate things.
Yeah. So.
It's quite a confusing thing.
So if I say this human being that you're referring to, is he funny or not funny? And think of somebody whether it's either funny or not funny. You can give whatever answer you want.
Yeah, I could say he's funny. I could say he's not funny.
Okay, either way, right? Let's say you say he's funny. Does that now apply to every human being?
No, because you're only asking about that singular human being that you're talking about
right.
at the time.
But that question is being applied to the person, because a person is funny, not a human, not the flesh and bones.
No, but you're asking about that singular person, that person that you were referencing at the time.
I understand,
so
because I understand, brother, because that one human being is a human being and a person, right? So although we as creatures are one human and one person, we're not multi-personal like God, because we can't be like God like that. But what I'm saying is that when I'm referencing someone to be being funny, that's only going to, even though that one person is still going to equal one human.
Before I lose my train of thought, to one thing that you just said now. So is there any other thing that you can reference or give an example of that also goes by that logic, where one single thing is multi-personal?
Absolutely not, because there's nothing like God.
Okay, so that means it goes back to my original thing. We count God separately to anything else.
What?
By your logic, the way we count, and when we learn how to count basic maths like 1, 2, 3, we count. God does not apply by that.
Absolutely,
it's counted different.
You're right. Yes.
Okay, so all logic is not logical then.
Why? Do you think? Wait. Do you think? Hold on. I want you to hear what you just said. That God would need to hold on. I want you to hear what you just said. I want you to hear real quick what you just said.
Let me repeat what I said and clear it up.
Go ahead.
Then you can okay.
This is more. You're the one that's illogical here. But go ahead. I'm gonna prove it to you.
No problem. By the basic maths that we've learned, 1 and 2 and 3, you said God does not apply by that.
No, I didn't say that.
So we can't.
I did not say that. I did not say that.
God's one can be.
Bro, I'm going to stop you. You're misrepresenting me. No, I did not say that.
Well, if you've said to me God does not apply by that counting rule, basic mathematics that we've learned and we've been given by God, the logic that we've been given by God, you can't count him in that manner. Then it's
no, we can use regular numbers, bro. Of course. What I'm saying is the counting method, which is what I thought you were referring to. So if you're going to count God as if he is a particular of a universal, which is only a category that applies to creatures, then you're reducing God down to a created being. You're counting God as if he is created. That in itself, one second. That in itself is illogical. That form of counting is only applied to creatures, not to the creator.
Counting only for God, right?
There's a count. No, I don't know if it's like only for God. What I'm saying is how you're going to count God, which we would count him by division, is only going to be if we're going to count like how many beings, it would only be applied to counting by division or counting by energies or operations, because God is the creator and he transcends creation.
So again, I don't understand why we went into all of that. So all I've just said is the way you count everything ever, right? And separate from that, God is two different ways.
Brother, I don't know what you're not getting. So for example, here I'm gonna just use an example from your just to kind of maybe help from your own paradigm. Okay, so you are you Athari or Ashari?
Athari.
Athari. Okay, so for an Athari, right, you would believe that God has a hand, but that hand is nothing like creation. Agreed?
Yes.
Okay. So that in itself, I can actually use the same argument you're using and say that doesn't make sense. So what is it then? Why can't it be like a human hand? And then you're going to say, well, Tenzi, it transcends our creation. We know it's a hand, but we don't know how it's like what it is exactly or anything like that.
No. There's a difference in howisms. Going into the how nature. So God can tell us he has a hand, and we believe that wholeheartedly. But how he has a hand. So for example, if I was to say to you, how exactly did Jesus transcend, right? You wouldn't tell me how exactly he transcended.
You would need to tell me.
You just know he transcended.
No, I mean you would need to talk about the category, but I think you're missing the point. The point is the point is this. Hold on, bro. I don't want to. I'm the one that brought this up to bring a point, and I don't want you to divert from the point I'm making. The point I'm making is that you would say, as an Athari Sunni Muslim, is that you believe God has a hand, but it's not. When I think of that hand, I can't think of it like a human hand because that would be a category error, right?
Repeat again. Sorry about that.
You as an Athari would say that God has a hand, but when I think of a hand, I can't think of it like a human hand because that in itself would be a category error, right?
100%, yeah.
Okay, so and the reason for that is, even though like I can bring my own argumentation to that, but I don't want to change the topics on you. My point is, you yourself would use this as a principle of transcendence. It's going to transcend creation. Therefore, the rules are going to be different for God, the creator, and humans, the creation, right? So when we're counting humans, we're going to count humans. When we're counting human beings, which are different.
Going back to the hands thing, because I don't want you to move on from that. If God says to me, he has two hands, right? For me now to tell myself he has two hands, that's a separate thing. You're talking to me, how does he have a hand? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if God says to me, I have two hands, I can now essentially say to myself, okay, God has two hands.
You're not getting what I'm saying, dude. I think we're hitting a wall. You're no, but no, the thing is, you're going. I know where you're going. I know where you're going. I know where you're going, brother. Listen. I don't want to have to mute. You've been okay. I know where you're going, bro. And I'm okay with where you're going, and I'm not going to necessarily disagree. But that's not why I'm bringing up this point. You're completely missing the point I'm bringing up. And by going to your point is going to divert from what I'm trying to communicate. And I don't think that's fair because I've been giving you every opportunity to bring your points. I've been respectful and listening to your points and responding to your points. But when I bring up a point, it's almost like it goes over your head or you're purposely ignoring it and moving on to something different from what I'm bringing into and not actually addressing the points I'm bringing. So either you're not understanding, you can't comprehend, or what?
I'm addressing it quite clearly actually, because you're talking about how the hand
then is. Here before look, I'll let you go ahead and bring your point if you can steel man what I was trying to say. So go ahead and give me what I was trying to say when I brought up the hand, just so I know you understand, and then I'll go ahead and I'll let you speak.
Okay. You said God has a hand, right? Two hands in this case, right? if he has two hands, my point is, if he has two hands.
No. I want you to address I want you to repeat my point. Steelman my point. Repeat it back to me so I know you understood what I'm trying to say. Please.
You want me to repeat your point back to you?
You don't have to do it verbatim. I just want to make sure you're actually listening to my point, and you're going to be honest here. I want you to repeat my point. Why did I bring up, brother? Why? No, I don't know what you mean by that. So please elaborate. I want to know that you actually understand the point that I'm bringing.
The problem is, right, originally with the point that you're mentioning.
Yeah, dude, you don't know. Just be honest. Just be honest and say, I don't know your point.
I'm not trying. No.
Just be honest, bro. Just be honest. Now you're being dishonest.
No, the semantics here are to avoid what we're really talking about, because you're trying to change the conversation. And it's quite, honestly, quite dishonest from you.
No, the dishonesty is actually coming from you, brother. And it was a nice conversation. I enjoy having nice conversations, but you are actually the one being dishonest. I gave you the benefit of the doubt time and time again. Every time you missed my point and said, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he didn't understand. Let me explain it this way. But you're actually not even listening. Because all I said was, and you don't need to do it verbatim, you could do it in your own words, is repeat back my point. Because since you think you're responding to my point, that in itself would mean that you understand my point to even be able to respond to it. But the fact that you couldn't do that tells me that you actually are not listening. And the fact that you couldn't be honest to say, you know what, I really don't know your point. That then there's no point in even having a conversation anymore. No point. Because no matter what I say, it's just going to hit a deaf ears. Because you're not trying to listen. You're just trying to prove your point. Hello, my love. Anyways, it's a shame that it has to go down to that, because it was a nice combo. But this is what it is.